Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. How are you? Hope you having a great weekend and God bless you. Alright, now we will come to today's news. And as Disney continues to hemorrhage money as they continue to go down this path, even after they've changed their CEO, they fired her old CPO Bob J. Peck, which was a great move. But bringing Bob Iger in is just the same as the old boss. They're the same and the one regardless. They are still pushing not all of the woke garbage out there on its audiences. And I was very surprised to actually see this show up on Disney Plus, was Tim Allen reprising his role as the Santa Claus. If you guys remember, he had those 3 movies of Santa Claus and they were working to try to remove him from that because of course, Tim Allen is an outspoken conservative, and they can't have that. Well, the left is freaking out even more after finding out that Tim Allen's Santa Claus is actually a conservative as well. Yeah. These people continue to lose in every facet. The new movie that Disney pushed out there just weekend absolutely bombed. It was an animated movie where delayed was a gay person and it was a trans thing. It's just a mess. These people will continue to push this world garbage on kids, and parents are rejecting it, which they should because it's totally unnecessary. But Tim Allen once again just triggering the left, triggering the woke mob, because he refuses to bend the knee. He continues to do well because of it. So here we have Tim Allen again reprising his role as Santa Claus. The left is furious that Tim Allen made his new Disney Plus series Santa Claus conservative. Ooh, yeah, that's right. Daily Wire reported fans love that Tim Allen's reprising his role as Santa for the Disney miniseries Santa Clauses, but some critics are complaining that he's too much of a right-wing Santa. The 69-year-old actor is one of the few openly conservative people in Hollywood. This makes it no surprise that critics zeroed in on a single line with a new Santa Clauses series that follows up the popular Santa Claus movie franchise was premiered back in '94. Allen again plays a toy salesman, Scott Calvin, who becomes Santa, but now is looking for a suitable successor to wear to rescue. One reviewer described a character as cranky conservative Santa Claus. In one scene, Allen's character complains that the state of modern society saying Merry Christmas to all has suddenly become problematic. He observes what's going on in the minds of the writers as they penned this semi-political one-liner in an article. If this coming from the critics who sit there and gush over all of these other movies that insert present-day politics into everything. And now that he says that one line in this whole series that says, hey, yeah, the current day stuff is problematic, but you can't even say Merry Christmas. And it's absolutely correct, because these are the same people who hate Christmas anyway. They hate Christmas. This is why they try to destroy it every year comes up. They hate the notion of Jesus Christ. They hate the notion of God. They hate the notion of any of that stuff, any authority that's greater or mightier than man. They absolutely hate, and anything that reflects that authority, they hate as well. They have to invert everything. That's why the whole trans thing, the drag thing, and all that stuff, it's all put into one ball. It's all under the same scope. These are who these people are: hateful, vengeful people that just spew virtue every single time they have a chance, because they cannot stand anything. A semblance of normal society, everything has to be trans, everything has to be dragged. If not, then you're intolerant bigot, who doesn't allow his kids to go and watch these drag performances. These men dressed as women torquing their butts in the faces of kids and asking them to put dollar bills in their leg garters? Yeah, no, and yeah, I'll take the Santa Claus movie, the Santa Claus series with Tim Allen, every day over any of the other work nonsense that is out there. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm sure many of you guys don't have Disney Plus, but if you do, have you watched the Santa Claus's new miniseries? And then, some significant news, you poor left boys, you can't hold on to a single narrative these days. What's going on? I mean, seriously, what's going on? Everything is falling apart for you. I feel so bad for you. You guys were in such a good position, such a position of strength where you had control over everything, and slowly, but surely it's all falling apart. Of course, you guys can sense the sarcasm in my voice. I don't feel bad for them at all. In fact, I feel just glorious, amazing. Their narratives are falling apart faster than you could possibly imagine. One after another, from Nancy Pelosi, his husband, and the incident that happened in their San Francisco home, supposedly the individual being an unknown Trump supporter. QAnon conspiracy. There as to the narrative in Colorado Springs falling apart to now another one very similar to the Colorado Springs incidents, although much less tragic and heinous, but of course, still another busted leftist narrative, this one with some comic relief. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. I mean, this one is absolutely hilarious. Alright folks, take a look at this from the Daily Wire. They put it all together. Although most of this transpired on Twitter the other day, narrative busted man throwing bricks at New York City gay bar was actually a gay man enacting revenge. Police say, would you be surprised if a string of recent hate crimes against a popular New York City gay bar were actually carried out by a gay man? Of course not. You're a reader of the Daily Wire and well educated on hate crime hoaxes nonetheless. Let's talk about a recent story about the Big Apple. Over the last month, Furs, a gay bar in Hell's Kitchen, has experienced 4 separate incidents of an individual throwing bricks through its windows. And so, of course, what did left boys do? What do? They do what they always do. New York City Council member Eric Busha writes this man has thrown bricks at the window of Furs Bar in New York City 4 times in recent weeks. These are hate crimes against the LGBTQ+ community. Please help us identify him. If you have any information, please contact NYPD Hate Crimes at, and they list all the information marked D. Live in response the epidemic of anti-LGBTQ+ violence is national. A well-known gay bar on Manhattan's West Side has been attacked repeatedly in recent weeks. We cannot stand for this. And here is already where the narrative started to slowly fall apart, because people do what they usually do. They started dissecting the video evidence frame by frame. What exactly is going on here? Trying to pay attention, trying to identify the individual, and well, most people, while going frame by frame, notice something about the man's throw if you pause it on certain frames or if you watch the whole thing slowed down. Well, his toss seems a little bit, how can I put this, lacking athleticism, lacking testosterone? And of course, the memes already started to roll, and a lot of people saying, yeah, pretty sure you got this one wrong. I don't think it's a hate crime. This individual doesn't seem like he'd be attacking this community, but rather that he's probably part of this community. Lo and behold, memes turned into reality. The suspect currently in custody for the attacks is 34-year-old Sean Cullen. Cullen is not being charged with a hate crime. Why not? Well, he's gay. According to the New York Post, New York Chief of Detectives, James Essig, claimed the suspect vandalized the place in defense of some gal he knows. Basically what he is saying is that he knows a girl who had a problem with one of the guys in the bar, and he was exacting revenge. As told the paper, as of right now, we don't have any reason to believe that it's a hate crime. Indeed, Cullen told the authorities, I'm gay myself, as they took him out of the paddy wagon and into the court earlier this week. Who would have seen that one coming? But of course, did that stop all of these leftists? And even these New York City officials from promoting this as a hate crime without any information? No, of course not. Because that's exactly what they do. It's another juicy small gay incident. Well, it might not be the same. I mean, it's not the individual perpetrating the ACT who's trying to create a hate crime hoax. The media certainly is doing all of that work for him, whether he wants that or not, because that's what the media does. Perpetuating these fake narratives in order to do what? In order to instill fear in the minds of the public that there's these roaming evil Trump magazine HUDs going around committing hate crimes. They tried to do the exact same thing with the whole Stop Asian Hate Crime narrative, which once again, also fell apart, actually very similar to this one. And also coming out of New York. They tried to frame that narrative as a result of Trump's America hate crimes on the rise because of these terrible Republicans, in deep blue New York City, but once again, CCTV camera footage comes to the rescue. And it turns out that it certainly wasn't MAGA hat-wearing vandals committing those actual hate crimes in New York City. This is what these left boys do. They craft the narrative first, and then try to justify it or fabricate examples to justify it later. And of course, it's not just the naivete, it's not confusion. It's not emotional people rushing to judgment, it's a calculation. They know exactly what they're doing. How many people do you think are paying attention or are aware of this narrative now being exposed of this supposed that hate crime? Well, not being a crime at all, and the individual and his attack on the LGBTQ+ community? Well, himself being part of said community? How many people do you think are aware of the end result here? How many people do you think are paying attention to the fact check? Not too many. You know, are New York City authorities issuing public corrections? I don't think so. Are publications issuing corrections? I don't think so. And even if they are, they never get as much traction as the initial post. I guarantee you millions of people saw this story when it was going viral. Initially, I guarantee you a bunch of people made their assumptions and opinions based on the initial reports. And they still believe that. Like I always say, people still think that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians, because nobody pays attention to the facts that follow later on. People pay attention to the initial headline, the initial reporting, the narrative that's created, and then fall off later on. And so, of course, these government and media actors know exactly what they're doing. These aren't just little mistakes, little whoopsies. This was another convenient event, which happened on the 20th of November, which they could use to pile onto this narrative that a particular community is now under attack. Continue to fear-monger about the extremist MAGA threat. It's all according to plan. Just think about how despicable it is. You know that they're doing this on purpose. Because you just read through the comments. Of course, there's a good amount of gullible people who are buying the narrative, hook, line, and sinker. But there's also a good chunk of people who immediately question this. I watched the security footage myself and I was a little bit skeptical, to say the least. I wasn't getting a hate crime vibe from the video. Let's just say that you're telling me that the people investigating the stuff who see this stuff, and you are supposedly trained, getting to the bottom and not letting their bias influence their investigation. You're telling me that those people, that these New York City officials didn't have the same skepticism that we did. Give me a break. They purposely disregarded it. Obviously, they were dishonest from the start. They knew exactly what they were doing. And just think about how evil that is, to take a sensitive topic like this and to use it as a fear-mongering tool in the media. That's so manipulative. It's so wrong for the people who are part of the LGBTQ community. They're creating a false sense of risk. They're making a group of people feel as though they are under attack when they are not. Well, maybe I'm not gonna say that they're not, because obviously they do face certain issues. What happened in Colorado Springs, for instance, we don't have the whole facts. But anyways, the point is, they're making the risk seem a whole lot worse than it is. And it's the exact same thing that they do with the police brutality narrative, making people fearful, causing panic, causing division, causing hatred, instead of promoting a healthy dialogue. And instead of focusing on the facts. This is why I say and I maintain that the media and that these government actors who do this kind of thing, they're not just fake news. They're not just partisans or activists. What they're doing is evil, absolutely evil. And the level of dishonesty is just astounding, and it's getting worse. And that's why we're seeing so many of their narratives fall apart these days. That's why they have such an image problem, and the whole thing is slowly falling apart. You can only be so dishonest and so malicious for so long until it starts to backfire. And here's another example of malicious dishonesty gone wrong. Another epic fail, a total backfire, another hate crime hoax to add to the list of hate crime, hoaxes and fake news backfires. They just continue to pile up. Thank you so much for listening. God bless. I'll be back soon with another report. God speak to each and every one of you. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for all of your kind words.